aspect. That's what I'm always afraid of.
It's always a
I have an
factor.
iPad, I have my laptop, I got everything going on, and
All right, here we go. I'll give it 10 seconds.
okay. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Slow. No, yeah. Okay.
Great. Hi, everyone. Again, my apologies. Some tech issues, and but hopefully we've worked it out. I'm going to go right to questions. We have Kim Inglis Clark, and I know Kim from Cobra Swim Club. She's looking forward to a date when the rec centers are progressively open. Is there a date in mind?
So I can take this one.
Yep.
So definitely work closely with Kim and the team at Cobra as well. And so we don't have a date, Kim. I apologize. It's one of those that it's a wait and see. We are doing a lot of work on the back end. We're doing a lot of maintenance in the buildings that we typically couldn't get around to. So we do have staff in the buildings. We're taking care of a lot of the smaller issues that we typically wouldn't be able to due to a lot of traffic in the buildings. But we don't have a date targeted yet. We're planning for the best, and then we'll wait and see from there. So unfortunately, not a specific date, no.
Thank you. I have another question from David Muses, and my apologies again. As you see, my pronunciation isn't on ball today. If you're allowed to hug up to 10 people in your social circle, why aren't you not allowed to play basketball with them?
Yeah, so so the social circles, it's a good question, and I know my kids have loved expanding their social circle to include their grandparents now, so I can appreciate that.
That's excellent.
So it's a little bit trickier when it comes to contact sports because the social circle is supposed to be a controlled environment. And the way the provincial government rolled that out was it's supposed to be the same 10 people all the time. So at least those 10 people are in constant contact and there's nobody outside that circle. When you talk about playing sports now, you're talking about bringing individuals from different households who have been in contact with multiple people. And then so that increases exponentially the potential for transmission of COVID. And so that is the reason why behind the two difference. One is a controlled 10 family social circle. The other is random people coming together and playing. And so it's that randomness that creates the potential for increased transmission, which we're trying to guard against.
Yeah, and that's a good point. But again, if you were to go with your kids to play at a city facility, be it soccer or so on, the reason why we understand the point within the social circle, but at the same time, we haven't had that allowance because of the cases have been high here in Peel region, and especially in the city of Brampton. So part of it's also been a decision that we made as a council to not open our parks and our fields and so on, similar to what other communities have. And but certainly we're monitoring that. And when our medical officer again, and I repeat it all the time, we're not doing this on what we feel. We're not experts, and we're really relying on the medical experts to really provide us the guidance. But I do understand the dilemma sometimes that residents have. Mark Levine, a shout out, went to high school with me in St. Augustine. He's asking, he's noticed some problems at tennis courts when people getting into arguments over playing time. The city needs to look into putting timers in the court so people aren't calling the city to police playing times. Well, that seems to be an issue I've encountered. Myself, I've seen people waiting to play tennis and so on. And, unfortunately, we get pulled into having to police this. And is there any way that we can control it? But the one thing I would say is just people show some respect for one another, especially during COVID-19. Let's all respect the fact that everyone should get fair playing time. And it's really, I hate hearing these type of arguments and that people are arguing about who does what, and they want the city to come in and start policing this. Have we heard any complaints along the use of our tennis courts?
Hi, Councillor Medeiros.
Hey, Rob.
I think what we can do is we can increase the ambassador program to frequent the tennis courts and maybe just to advise and speak with people and try to get them to keep to their hour. We did increase the 30-minute limit that we used to have to 60 minutes so that people could get a full hour of exercise. And we're hoping that, you know, people will adhere to that, but we will increase our patrols in those areas with our Park Ambassador program, and hopefully that can help some of the situations out.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe the more busier courts, and because I do know that some of our courts are being used more, and other ones I'll pass by and I won't see a soul there. So I guess it just depends on understanding where the more busier courts are. We have a question from Fatima Camara regarding the second surge. Is the City of Brampton getting an action plan for it? For example, transportation, schools resuming. Is there a back plan? Well, and that's kind of, and thank you, Fatima. I'll just answer that very quickly. And that's kind of why the mayor's leadership, and he wanted to strike a committee, which I myself and gentlemen here tonight, everyone's in communication and with others from across the municipality, because the mayor recognized, and council especially, that for us to get ready, and I'm not sure about a second surge, but certainly for things to reopen, we want things to be reopening with a proper plan, and one which works with stakeholders, works with residents, and that we open up responsibly and always in consultation with our public health unit. So I hope that gives the answer you're looking for. Another question is, what is the City of Brampton doing for 16 to 24 years old in terms of recreational activities? I guess we're not only doing the same for 16 to 24, we're doing it across the board. Right now it's not safe, and we're open accordingly. So we're not opening up facilities or programs or anything based on age. And then I don't know if you want to answer.
Yeah, no, I think that answer is correct, and I think the other thing that we have started to do or tried to do is venture down recreation at home, and we're trying to see if there's a way that we can still engage not just 16 to 24, but everybody, all ages across the spectrum. So we have some videos uploaded there for some easy fitness classes. We have some videos for seniors. We have some videos for more intense fitness workouts to encourage people to work out safely from their homes as well. So that's another kind of little avenue that we've started to venture down as we wait to get back to what we're calling normal, right?
Yeah, thanks. The next question is from Rod Schron, and this is for you, Rob. When can my dad go visit a park and use shade shelters again? And I've heard many seniors and senior groups approach me about the ability to use the shade shelters, be able to go to the park and sit under the shade shelters.
Thank you, Councillor. The shade shelters are now open. They do have signage up with capacities for the shade shelter. We did remove picnic tables from underneath those shade shelters so we could keep the social distancing. So what we're asking people to do is bring their own chairs to those shade shelters, but they have been opened. There is the social distancing rules, and as well as a capacity, because we have 3 different sizes shade shelters depending on the sizes of the parks. So we put numbers up so that people can adhere to those.
So regarding the shade shelters, Rob, our understanding that we're in a state of emergency, so I don't imagine that we're erecting any new shade shelters. Do we anticipate that this year that we might be putting in more shade shelters, or right now, understanding how serious this pandemic is, we've put a stop to any implementation of shade shelters?
So there is some new parks that are through development that are being built right now that will include a shade shelter. So as part of the construction now, those parks may be open towards the middle end of the summer, but they're under construction. We are working on our construction piece through purchasing to install shade shelters, but it looks like that it's going to be more towards the fall before we even start construction, because we had to hold everything up with the provincial regulations that we could not construct.
Okay.
So but it will be happening this year, ready for next spring.
Oh, excellent. So, but that's interesting. So people can use the shade shelters as of today, and there's guidances and guidelines in terms of how they use it, maintain social distancing, and so that is allowed. That's excellent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. So another question I saw here, in terms of, okay, baseball diamonds, I know Deminder Guman, when can kids use baseball hoops and play tennis? Well, they can play tennis now, but basketball hoops, again, I know there's a lot of people itching to play basketball and play soccer, etc. In terms of criteria on how we decide what sports are safer than others, you know, it's not a popularity contest. It's not what we decide what sports we love. Certainly we follow provincial guidelines, and the provincial guidelines, do they specify what sports can be played?
I'll speak to that. So
Yeah.
when you look at the stage 2 framework, they lump outdoor sports all together for field sports, and they say training can happen, but no scrimmaging. In stage 1, they actually did enunciate which sports could actually be played and could be open. And so a lot of the contact sports are ones that can't be played in close proximity. And they're not just doing it for sports. If you look at how they open marinas and beaches, and how they are talking about indoor recreational facilities, like the province has been very specific, and this is, I think, been done with, as Councillor Medeiros alluded to, in consultation with medical experts. So it's not a popularity concert or who likes what sport more. It's really around are those activities that are safer to engage in, and then at what is the appropriate time to open them. So as I said earlier, we want to get everybody out there and healthy and active and playing their sports, but we do have to, one, adhere to provincial guidelines in our medical health, but two, also ensure that we're doing it in a pragmatic and safe manner.
This question, I guess, to Rob, and this is my sort of personal question. I've had the opportunity to hit our trails. We have an amazing trail system, and I've just been floored about how things have been very, you know, clean, organized. I see staff out there every day, really keeping our trailing system. You know, there's no garbage overflow. I've been very impressed in terms of the response we've given, especially during a difficult period. If you can talk about sort of what's been sort of the work plan and what's our sort of daily routine to keep our trail system, you know, in the fine shape it's in right now.
Well, thank you, Councillor. We are working on a much smaller staff this year, but we have concentrated on grass and litter and garbage. That's been our main part of the workload that we've been doing, just because we need to keep our parks clean, because it causes other issues with rodents and those types of things. So we've made it a priority.